Worldwide Sports here. With the NFL preseason rapidly coming to an end, we're going to take a look at all 32 teams in the NFL and see how they stack up going into the regular season. Today we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Alright, let's get into it. Let's take a look at some of the offseason moves the Jags have made. First, they made their big splash by signing prize cornerback A.J. Abayu. Bayou signed a 5-year, $67.5 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. They also landed the big veteran Calais Campbell, wrestling him away from the Cardinals. With Campbell, he should help shore up that front seven. In another great move, they swapped out safety Jonathan Crickram and signed former Cowboy safety Barry Church. Also in a move that there's still question marks about, Dave Cardwell, the GM, sent Brandon Albert to the Dolphins in exchange for Julius Thomas, but we're unsure if Albert will play this season, as he has contemplated retirement. Now let's take a look back at the draft for the Jags. With the 4th overall pick, they selected Leonard Fournette, running back out of LSU. Now let's take a look back at the draft for the Jags. With the 4th overall pick, they selected Leonard Fournette, running back out of LSU. For a team that only has 13 rushing touchdowns in the last 2 years, Fournette looks to be the answer. Fournette looks to be an explosive runner for the Jags. It looks to be a great improvement. Pairing him along the backfield with former second round pick T.J. Hilton and also Chris Ivory, who they signed a few years back. In the second round, they drafted Cam Robinson, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. Robinson is the nasty big man who Tom Coughlin, the new executive, covets. I like this pick here because the Jags' offensive line has struggled in years past. The line will need to play a big part if they want Blake Bortles to get back on track. In the third round of the draft, they selected Dwayne Smoot, the defensive end out of Illinois. Smoot looks to come in and help complement the rotation up front. In the 4th round, they selected D.D. Westbrook, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. In the 5th round, the Jags selected Blair Brown, the linebacker out of Ohio. Brown has great instincts at that linebacker position and is very versatile. He ran a 4.6 at the combine. The Jags look for him to play a big role down the future. Their first 7th round pick, they selected Jalen Myrick, cornerback out of Minnesota. Myrick is a burner who ran a 4.28 at the combine. Wrapping up the draft, they selected Marquise Williams, the fullback out of Miami. At 6'1", 250 plus, Williams is a load and could develop into Fournette's best friend as he helps pave the way for the young running back. Let's take a look at the defense for the Jags. The Jags have all the potential in the world and look to be a top 10 defense this year, with players like Calais Campbell and A.J. Abayu coming in free agency, along with the addition of Barry Church. Plus, they have last year's first-round pick, Jalen Ramsey, who was a stud last year. They also have Yannick Ngakoue, who has showed out this preseason. They also have Malik Jackson, the former Bronco. At linebacker, they have Telvin Smith and also Miles Jack, the feel-good story of last year. This is a Jags defense that last year gave up 25 points per game. Now, take into consideration how poorly the offense played. With these additions, it's not far-fetched to imagine a top 10 defense for the Jags this year. Now on offense, Blake Bortles' struggles have been highlighted this offseason. He's coming off a year where he threw for just under 4,000 yards and had 23 touchdowns, while also having 16 interceptions, but he only had a 58.9 completion percentage, which has to improve this year. Now, also take into consideration that his running game didn't have a runner who averaged over 4 yards a carry, unless you include himself, who had 6.2 yards per carry, and also led the team in rushing touchdowns with 3. At wide receiver, he has a plethora of weapons. They have Allen Robinson, who had 800 yards last year. They also have Marcus Lee, who averaged 13.5 yards per catch last year. Add to that, they have Allen Hurns, who had just under 500 yards last year and had 13.6 yards per catch. They have an explosive receiving core that can make big plays down the field. With all that being said, the Jags are going to be one of the most interesting teams to watch this year. They're in a division that might be up for grabs, with Tennessee and also the Texans vying for position. If Blake Bortles can have a breakout year and prove all his doubters wrong, the Jags might be able to punch their ticket to a division crown. Alright guys, Worldwide Sports, we're getting out of here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, comment down below, Jags Nation, how do you think this team is going to do? We got a lot more coming, guys. Stay tuned. Worldwide Sports, we're out. This has been a Worldwide Sports production.